Hey guys, what is going on? It is Alexander Williamson here with the Secret History Living Inside Your Aquarium. How's it going, Keith Borderly, Superior Guppy? Is that who it is? Yep. How's everybody doing? We'll let people filter in as per the usual. As you can see, I've kind of got some things set up as normal, but then I've also got some new breeding setups. So I've got more Danios and things like that coming in the near future. More RU2s coming, which are straight from Gary Lang's stock. And some Fungi Rasboras also. And maybe some orange rummy nose Rasboras. Speaking of trending animals this season. So, Andrew Owens, how's it going? First of all, I wanted to thank everybody, especially if you're watching this later and you're not in the chat room yet, but thank you so much for the year that has been this year on YouTube. I really want to thank you guys for supporting the channel, for all the, all the crazy super chats and kindness and just helping out on the forums and the groups and helping each other, like helping new aquarium keepers and things like that. That has been awesome. I really love the community that has formed around this thing, and it's just, to me, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Today I wanted to talk about, other than thanking you all for being a part of this channel, and it's really the kind of 1-year anniversary of this channel. The channel started actually at the end of, I don't know, October of the year before, but nobody was watching and I didn't know what the channel was going to be. I didn't have a name for it yet or anything, even it was just under my personal account. But it's kind of unfolded into what it is today, and it's still heading in directions wherever you guys want it to go, and I really try to listen to your feedback from you folks, so I appreciate that a lot. Today I wanted to talk about some of the trends that we've seen this year in 2018 in fish keeping, and then some of the trends that I think will continue into 2019 that are going to be big money makers, parts of the industry, things that we'll be hearing about for some time to come. Now, I would love your input if you guys have something to say. Jeff Griffin, what is going on? How is it going? Andrew Owens, Shrimps and Plants, Justin and Jason, and who else do we got in here? Betsy in here yet? Hello, guys. So, I wanted to say first of all, so this is my opinion, and this is up for debate. You guys can tell me whatever you guys think personally, but these are things that I've noticed in my corner of the country, in Seattle and online and YouTube and stuff, as being popular trends in fish, shrimp, and aquatic plant keeping, where I see it going. Some of the hot species, everybody knows that panda everything this year. It was pandemonia. We had Dumbo-eared panda guppies, ribbon-tail panda guppies, black Moscow tuxedo panda guppies, which is kind of redundant. And then we had panda loaches, which are still relatively new, and panda garas and panda corridoras. There's 2 species that we call pandas, small and large. So just kind of it's funny how you notice little things like that catch on, and it's not like those trends or those fish were just discovered this year or something. They've been around for years, but you notice that there's peaks in the popularity. Oh yeah, and then there's panda shrimp. Good call. So Tetra Keeper, thank you. Select Pet, hello. Chubby Guppy, Fish Tropic. How's everybody doing? Come on in. So, yeah, if you guys have trends that you're noticing that I'm missing, just feel free to blurt them out, comment on the video, when you're liking it or subscribing if you haven't. Everyone in here is subscribed, I'm sure, anyways. But some of the big trends I wanted to talk about first of all, and by the way, oh, Jamie McDonald, hello and good evening. So by the way, something I wanted to talk about is my streams. Obviously, we have a content that I'm going to discuss, but we also, if somebody has a fish problem, let me know, like, if you have a question about something. If it's pertinent to what we're talking about now, I'll answer it. Otherwise, just remind me again later that we have, that I missed a question in the fish talk. Also, yes, I'm aware that this tie-dye shirt is falling apart, but it is my New Year's shirt, and I've worn it for years and years. I don't know how long, 15 years or something, to commemorate. So sorry that it's like sagging because I've probably done this at concerts too many times or whatever, but it's a tradition. And the tie-dye is pretty cool. So, thank you, Andrew. He says I rock that shirt. Tie-dye is acceptable to have holes. I agree. Yeah, I agree that trophies have also gained popularity. Another one are the half-beaks. Those have gained some popularity. But I'm going to go through some of this, you know, all going on. Yeah, so that's the other thing that I wanted to say about trends in the fish business and fish keeping hobby is that, you know, it starts usually because of scarcity or because it's something new that looks cool. And a lot of times the industry, you've got companies like Seagrass, 5D, and Imperial doing most of the fish stuff, importing. And then you've got some transshippers that do it on their own, things like that, and really hardcore hobbyists that can go and get, you know, if they've got money, they can get fish into the country in bulk, or if they're really dedicated. But for the most part, it gets set by, you know, things, oftentimes like Petco, PetSmart, they set the trend a little behind the curve of what the hobbyists are into. But Seagrass, Imperial, 5D, they kind of dictate what's around, what's available. And the sheer fact that things like panda loaches were available this year, farm raised for the first time, is really interesting. So I haven't read who's doing it, but I did notice that there were panda loaches that were being sold as babies outside of their spawning season. So kind of a cue that somebody's growing them somewhere, and the price came down from $30, $50, even $100 at one point, down to like $15 to $30 for little fish. Which brings me to what I think is the #1 trend of 2018, and I think that is nano and aquascaping combined. I think it's modern rimless tanks and you know, Flue Vault, Flex. Just kind of a lot of products are coming out right now that they're trying to do away with the idea that it's just a glass box that everyone's seen, that they had as a child, and they're trying to make it a centerpiece of the house, and it not just a kid's toy in a kid's room that gets full of algae and gross. You know, they're really pushing plants, and I think that's a great direction to be heading in. It's coming from the consumers, and it's coming from the people who produce these things. And I think that's when capitalism and the economy of all this works best, is when both sides, you know, the consumers are saying, we need a cheap rimless tank that's got the filters built in and a heater built in and all this stuff. And then, you know, they respond by putting something out. So I think that's a good way to do it. I think another driving factor is just space. People don't have the space that they once had. A lot of people are living in cities. A lot of people are getting into fish that are, sorry if I'm scratching my head, I'm itchy today. It's dry and cold today, even in the fish room. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people living in dorm rooms, living in smaller places, living with roommates. Rent is expensive a lot of places, especially in coastal cities. So nano has been a big trend. And on the other hand, I was just reading at Pet Trends news report quarterly that they also have been seeing a big uptick in tanks over 150 gallons. So the big tank busters, you know, stingrays and things like that, those are also gaining in popularity. It seems to be like the middle ground, though, like 50, 75, 100 tanks are, which once used to be considered a pretty big tank, are losing a little bit of popularity in favor of either nano or monster fish. So that's kind of interesting. I like the nano end of the spectrum myself. It means that, you know, you can have 10 tanks and 100 species of fish, and I'm not being hyperbolic there. Like, I mean, you really can do that. So I think that's cool, and I like that trend a lot. Just want to make sure. So the thing about trends, though, in fish is it starts out, they're rare, or there's a market that's limited. Like, for instance, ADA came out with, you know, low iron glass, beautiful, low hanging, things like that. And they were the only ones out with that for a while. And then all of a sudden you've got Mr. Aqua, Doe Aqua, you've got, I mean, there's about 40 different Chinese brands too that are just out there and get renamed, whatever. But the point being is when the market says, hey, we want rimless tanks, like, they start appearing, which that's good. Somebody out there is paying attention and listening, and you know, you gotta find that line between giving credit where credit is due for a luxury brand like ADA, and having a product maybe in the Flue Vault line or something that is more approachable for your average fish keeper. Also, along with that, I think, you know, small tanks, yes, exactly, Andrew, are easier to take care of in some ways. They're harder to balance if you're trying to dial it in. Like, a 20-gallon is going to be easier than a 5-gallon if we're talking really teeny. But the other thing is people like to have tanks on their desk and stuff like that. And now with RO units coming down in price and things like that, and mechanized units that actually add, you know, salinity for brackish tanks, or they add pH or lower and raise pH, and they're all electronic. I mean, if you're willing to spend some coin, you can get now some pretty advanced stuff, and that's a trend I see coming in the future still. I mean, this year we had Flue Vault Planet Plus, which has a phone app, and you control everything with your phone. You can barely control anything on the darn light itself, which is one of my gripes about it. But on your phone, you can have the hours of the day and the angle of the sun and which latitude you're replicating, and if there's rainstorms or clouds, you know, and patterns and things like that. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that kind of stuff, like a filter that tells you when the nitrates are too high, and then it comes to your iPhone, or, you know, stuff like that. I think we will see. Right now, a lot of it is still in a pretty cruddy state of, like, the LED light filters to me are pointless. They don't really tell you anything except for that, oh, your filter's been colonized by good bacteria and is slightly clogged in a good way. Buy another filter. But that's my, you know, me personally, as you can maybe even make out here, I don't buy the filter cartridges. I use filter floss and bio rings, and I load it up, and yeah. So somebody asked, what is your favorite fish? So I can probably try to answer that quickly. I mean, it has to probably be the Endler, just because of the versatility of it, how small it is, how many babies you can breed, and how much you can change within that fish in just a few years. Like, in 2 years, you can see 12, 15, whatever, however many generations of changes, and really dial it in to something interesting. It's not a lifetime commitment to get a strain or of fish that you want. And so I've always liked Endlers, and I think people are also on that same stream of thought online frequently. I've found a lot of people, same with shrimp, you know, they have 30 babies, so that's 30 chances for you to find a morph that's the one you want, select it out, put the other one somewhere else, or select the one out, put it with another one that has that similar morph, and boom, next generation, you're closer to, you know, your end goal of a Riley or Really shrimp or gold line shrimp or whatever it may be. People are really starting to experiment. Like hobbyists are starting to go into the realm that was once a die-hard hobbyist realm in order to like just tinker with biology and to keep these fish. So for that reason, I would say that I really like I think I'm gonna have to go with endlers and like guppies, just because I've kept them since I was a little kid. Then I got sick of them. A lot of people were like, "Oh, they're boring. They've been played out." And then it's just unlocking all the crazy genetics in them. The fact that iridescence is a whole other, like the gasoline rainbow shimmer, and the color changing depending on mood. All those things are separate from pigmentation in chromatophores and things. Like, it's a whole new world now that we understand the genetics of it all and everything. So they're pretty interesting fish, and I still have them in every tank pretty much. What do you think about the tank computer thing that was getting started? I don't know what you're getting kickstarted. I don't know the details on that. I recall a couple different things. Are you talking about that tank that takes care of itself, that's totally automated? Is that what you're talking about? If not, are you talking about a digital tank? Because that's the other thing, is there's like apps now, you know, games to apps, where people are putting like LED big old displays in high def, and they just have their digital fish. To me, that you're lacking the, like, to me it's some people may not like to hear this, but to me, I own it, I accept it. I feel like when you keep fish, you are playing like a mini god, and these creatures are under your care. You're a parent, you're you know, a god, whatever you want to call it, and you create a world for them, and then you see how it unfolds, and you learn from that, and you do better each time, hopefully, if you're paying attention, and that bestows meaning upon your life. Even if you're feeling down about other stuff, you can come check out their world and know that you did your part to make their world beautiful or comfortable for them. And so, to me, a lot of the digital end of that stuff isn't as fulfilling as, honestly, when life and death are on the line. Even if you model it out perfectly, there's something to me about hearing the water and putting my hands in the tank and moving things around that I just don't think I could do digital on. Let's see here. Yeah, the saltwater hobby has totally had long time automated. Even into the 80s, they had some automated stuff, you know, for the home people, because it's always been more expensive than freshwater until really recently, and now it's arguably you could spend more on freshwater if you're doing like ADA and stuff like that and RO water, but a lot of people don't, and so I still think freshwater is by far cheaper, and I will fight to the death to argue that one. Let's see. Just reading some comments here. Oddball Aquatics, what's going on? Hey, Lee. Fish Rich. Andrea O. Hey, guppies were my first fish. Me too, and they'll probably be my last fish. Mad Fish Diva, hey, Otter Creek Aquatics, Jeff Griffin. Wow, we've got some great people in here tonight. Thanks for joining me, you guys. I really like seeing you. For some reason, hold on, let me see here. My okay, here we go. This should do it. My chat was not coming up, and I was having to go back and see that you guys have been talking. You bought a male guppy the other day, and it was dark blue with a hint of green. Now he doesn't look all ugly, and now and his tail is yellow and green, has lots of shine. Yeah, exactly. When you get guppies, they can change. All right, let's see here. Strongman, what's going on? Dan Slee. All right, let me get through the end of these, and then we'll get back on track. Yeah, good group tonight for sure. Chase, what's up, man? I hope everybody saw the video that I posted a few days yesterday, 2 days ago, of Chase's room. And sorry about the audio thing. I was trying a new microphone that records to a digital thing, trying to make the experience better for you guys. Every super chat, every Patreon, all that stuff. I think about you guys, and I either think I'm gonna go travel somewhere and share some plants and things. I'm gonna do sweepstakes and giveaways. Which, by the way, the announcing the winner of the aquatic arts giveaway of the shrimp starter package, as well as the gift cards. All that will be coming in about a week and a half from now. So I haven't forgot about you guys, and I'm calculating points, which is kind of a nightmare. I'll probably do it different next time. Let's see here. Jamie McDonald, how's it going? I'm glad you caught the stream for the first time. Let's see. Lurking in the background, Raccoon Creek Aquatics. By the way, because this is a community on here, I encourage you guys all to check out each other's channels. Like if you guys are talking on here and stuff, check each other's channels out. Talk to each other. We have a Facebook group, and it's got lots of people and stuff like that that are really in it to help each other, and that's from beginner level all the way up to expert level, like people 50 years in the hobby. So let's see here. So Chubby Gabby, what is up? So the giveaway will be announced. Probably. I'll probably just do a live stream and have a random number generator, and then I'm assigning a number to everybody, and then you can plug in like a name or a number, like letter A1, A2, A3, and correlate that, and it can populate it off of there's a few apps that can populate off of your subscribers on YouTube. But the thing is, I can't only do subscribers, so I'll have to hand add in the people who are not subscribers who said they wanted to enter, because legally on YouTube I cannot encourage people to join. So subscribe to get a prize or to purchase something. Then on the other hand, Aquatic Arts will be handing me this list that they're calculating that has who's bought products, who's used the coupons, and then 4% of all that money that came in goes to the next giveaway we're doing, because I just said let's not worry about the affiliate stuff on these giveaway numbers. I'll be taking that and putting it back into you guys for being great. I mean, it's not money I can live on or anything, and so why not just give it back to the community in one form or another? And I can also do things like pay for shipping. I don't know if you guys can see this little pleco, and by little I mean he's this big now. But yeah, so in the video description, you can check out my in past videos the contest rules and all that stuff. It kind of got convoluted because a couple states got uppity. Somebody talked to the Attorney General on me and was like, you can't be doing this in, I think it was Georgia or something. It has to be a sweepstake. Can't be called a giveaway. On and on. Let's get back to talking about trends, though. Let's see here. I dose with the method. There's extra nitrates all the time. I just ran out of CO2 a week ago and haven't gotten anything to refill it yet. Everything's suffering now. Yeah, that's rough, Chase. Your place looked good to me, though, man. Well, that tour, I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I hope they enjoy either midweek or next weekend, or maybe for New Year's Day. I will release the second half of Chase's room, where he shows off his Fahaka puffer and a bunch of crazy plecos, and yeah, Chase from the fish room tour is in this chat right now, so that's great. Blue Ice Aquatics, welcome. So let's get back to trends, because I know people are going to watch this later and be like, he's just talking to people. Get on with it. So, although I'm here to talk to you guys. You guys showed up. You're the ones who showed up. So, I think another big trend actually came from YouTube this year, and that is that we have people like Lucas Brett's. His channel's getting bigger. He's sharing tips with how he raises stuff. People are learning decades worth of knowledge the last 5-10 years on YouTube, but really there's a lot more people coming into the YouTube realm every day that are fish keepers, and some of it's bad info, some of it's good info. I'll admit that, you know, probably I have some bad info sometimes, or you know, habits that were incorrectly taught to me or that I acquired, like in the last video where I was holding the vial of test reagent over the tank. Honestly, you shouldn't do that. Do as I say, not as I do, but I'll probably still do it if that's the closest light source and I'm trying to see what color it is. Sorry. So, but yeah, thank you, Superior Guppy. I appreciate that you enjoy the channel and the way I'm thinking. For some reason, my chat won't stay active, and what are the coolest advanced fish room components that I've seen? Well, that's kind of like what we're talking about right now, too. I mean, I've noticed that, you know, a lot of people, for one, Aquarium Co-op online, you know, he's got auto dosers, feeders. I mean, he still manually feeds, but on that 800 gallon and on his studio tanks, they're going to have CO2, inline heating, I mean, stuff like that. You might not think of it as like a, sorry guys, this hair is distracting. You may not think of it as high tech, but even just like having your heater in line, it's one less thing to worry about the heater getting super hot and blowing out. And I mean, like, then having a sensor that's digital in the tank that's independent of the thermometer that will give you an alert. So stuff like that, the fact that a lot of the tanks and plant, or a lot of the fish rooms that I've seen are all regulated on lights now on the Flue Vault 3.0 Planet that has you can set with your phone via Bluetooth and no other way. And you know, there's lots of products coming out like that. Also, you know, there's I'm trying to think of some of the other products that I've seen like that, but there's the auto feeders, things like that. But I think we're gonna see even more automation and apps, things like that, like where you dial in the temperature, like, and this exists if you want to buy it, but it's usually coming in from Germany or Japan or Singapore, and not brought in bulk here yet because our breeders aren't. It's not enough of a home hobby yet, and hopefully it will get to that point. But basically, you know, everything from CO2 becoming way more popular. I think just every year it's gaining popularity, and really with the nano tanks, and when people see the color and density and just how happy your fish can be and the potential of this plant, that you're like, oh cool, here's a green plant, there's another green plant, there's a light green plant. And when it turns neon red or purple and pink and, you know, just orange and stuff, it's a new texture to keeping fish. And I think that's a trend that we're going to start seeing more and more of. I mean, Flue Vault, again, they're really knocking it out of the park. As much as I had a gripe with the way their little CO2 cartridges work, aka didn't work. They don't come with the black. Let's turn it here. They don't come with the black air hose that's stronger. They come with like a nylon or vinyl hose, and it's a little stronger, but if you crank that up and the air stone hasn't been primed with water, it will just explode, and the whole airline will explode like a firecracker. And it'll do that even if you do it slowly, if there's a defect in your air stone, which turned out to be the problem. So a little bit of user error, but that was another innovation. I think that came out a couple years ago in small steps, but now they've got the 80 was the 85 gram and then the 45 gram, and so they've got different sizes of the CO2 cartridges that are still small and can fit on your fish tank. To me, that might be a bit of a trend just because it's so darn expensive to buy those recharge filters, and I see in the future CO2 being pulled out of the air as being the next, you know, big thing, but that's still really expensive right now, so that's a ways off. But if we could pull CO2 and nitrogen out of the air and use that as fertilizer and the CO2 for fish, that would be pretty incredible to not have to buy nitrate-based fertilizers. That being said, also we've had huge strides this year, be it in just the last few years, you know, people like CChem doing, you know, all their Flourish lines, and ADA doing their Brighty Green lines and their, you know, macro and micro nutrients. Aquarium Co-op doing Easy Green. There's a lot of choices out there for liquid fertilizers in your tank, whereas before, really you had to look online at a forum and trust people of how much of this and that and mix it together, and everyone has a different opinion on that, and there's some downsides to the all-in-one liquid thing, but it's just so darn easy. And then if you are experiencing a deficiency for some special plant you're raising, you can buy the element that you're missing and hopefully just add that. And I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a trend that will continue, and that will kind of be, I think we'll view this in the aquarium hobby as like the Mac PC split, and you'll have like the Flue Vault Flex, and then it'll have like an auto doser and an auto feeder and substrate that has colony or some sort of probiotics already built in. This is in the future, maybe 2019. I don't know what they have planned, but that's kind of why I wanted to have this live stream and see what you guys think and stuff. But you know, that's another big thing that they're looking at is beneficial bacteria and surface area using filters. I mean, we just saw on Aquarium Co-op the Zeiss filter with the moving liquid substrate that people have been doing with pop bottles and bio rings at home for some time. There's, I think, sponge filters in small areas, because it's so much cheaper to run air through your fish room, is also going to be popular with hobbyists, but I don't know how popular it is with just people who have 1 or 2 fish tanks or a tank at their desk at work. But I do see that as something that will be coming out. Thank you, Fish Diva. You are a sweetheart. Yeah, hit that like button. Let's do a like spike if we can find that. If we can find that in our hearts. I know a lot of you have to go back out and kind of click some other weird way, but let's do that on the count of 10. I'm going to give you 10 whole seconds to do a like spike. There's 40 of us in here right now, so let's do this. 10, 9, 8, 7. This is practice for tomorrow. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, spike. And it went down. Okay. All right. Well, I quit. I'm done with YouTube. Oh, there it goes. Okay, now it's going up. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you for... yeah. So Otter Creek says, I had the 45-gram Flue Vault. I hated it. Never got it dialed in. No solenoid, and it ran out in a week. I agree. Go back and look at my videos. I had it on a 20-gallon, which is probably too much. Maybe on like a 2.5, you could use like tweezers to just ever so slightly adjust the dial. It's silly. But the cool thing that I've found is that the airstone and the not the regulator that comes with it, that's but the actual diffuser that comes with that Flue Vault, you can buy a replacement at Petco for $6.99, and that thing is killer. If you run, like I'm running a 20, if you can see that over there, I'm running a 20-pound CO2 tank down here, and I'm using the $6.99 diffuser, and it works better than a $100 diffuser that I had. So, go figure. But yeah, I don't want to go buy cartridges, even if they are cheap. I want to go to the weld shop once a year and then not worry about it. And it's like 30 bucks or something. It's easier. All right, let's see here. What else are people saying? Yeah, Chase, who just had a tour, 10-pound CO2 tank, runs his whole room um, for 3 months at least, including his 150-gallon with his Fahaka puffer, which we'll be showing soon enough. Yeah, the Flue Vault diffusers are really good and really cheap. I haven't seen anything that comes close to it, so I gotta give them props there. I bought the kit, and honestly, it was the price of some of the ADA or Do Aqua diffusers alone. Maybe not quite as stylish, you know, you can see over here, it's got a little white plastic suction cup, and it looks like a black donut, or like a 1950s tire with the white walls or something. But it gets the job done. One of the other things I've seen this year, and I also credit YouTube with this, is filtration and water movement. I think people are finally getting that you need to move the water around. Dead zones mean dead fish a lot of times. Now you can have calm zones, but you're just going to get more debris out of the water into your filter no matter what filter system you have. And you're going to move around that oxygen, that CO2, the toxins, the ammonia. If there's a dead fish in the corner that you can't see for some reason, you're going to move these things around. Good bacteria, bad bacteria. You're going to move it around. And so that's another trend that I definitely see is, you know, more power heads, mini power heads, Matten filters with continuing with the sponge filter or whatever, but they attach onto the top so that there's some good flow. You can get like 6 on Amazon for 20 bucks. And they work great. That's what I'm raising my fry right now on, the Danios and stuff. Yeah, expensive isn't always better. Also, I wanted to just say too that you know, the other two big things, and not just because I know them and I'm friends with them, but there other than Aquarium Co-op, there's also aquaticarts.com and flipaquatics.com, and both of them, congratulations to Rob Lupton and his wife over at Flip. They moved up from being, I mean, he used to breed just, you know, mostly Neocaridina and some Caridina, but domestically, and they moved up, became basically transshippers and also still breeding, but they have a big place, they quarantine their shrimp, and to me, as long as you're quarantining your shrimp, watching them for a while, and you have a trusted supplier, the shrimp aren't going to just magically swim over here. We got to have someone import them at some point, and then it's up to us as the hobbyists to keep those lines in our water, to acclimate those lines to our water, and to then trade them throughout the hobby. But they got to get here somehow, and so I know they get a lot of trash thrown at them by the people who were keeping shrimp long ago. As we know now, in the last 15 years, we've gone from basically having just cherry red shrimp to having almost every color under the globe in Neocaridina, and also now in Caridina with crazy patterns and all sorts of stuff. So that's also another big trend of 2018, and I think it'll continue into 2019. There is a bit of a entry height, you know, it's harder for kids and things to get into. It's easy to get discouraged. Same with the CO2. You'll try it and you're going to get an algae bloom or you're going to get your shrimp dying. And if you can get past that first mistake or two, it'll be okay. Like, you'll figure it out and it's going to be a fun hobby that you're going to be really happy you worked your way through those issues rather than just being like, oh, this is too hard, I quit. So yeah, let's see what's going on. All right, take it easy, Andrew. Yeah, aquaticarts.com. Of course, if you didn't know already, use the code Secret Shrimp, all in caps, no spaces, 15, and you get 15% off. Secret Shrimp 10, all in caps, 10, is if you've already used codes, you can use that one for 10% off every single time. And if you're using a better code, do it. Please do it. Use their 40% off code if they have a Black Friday code. But they've told me to mention that you watched the channel and to just say, hey, got here from Secret History in your aquarium or from Alex, and then the money that you guys spend is going to gifts going back to the channel, because that's how they're going to reward it. I mean, if our channel produces money for them, who I think are an honorable, a very good customer service and hardworking, like breeder owned, who used to breed shrimp. He started with one 55-gallon full of red cherry shrimp back in the day and worked his way up into owning a 12-person company now. And they just moved this year and have a big facility like Flip now, and they're really working with the nano fish. I've been working with Preston and Matt, the guy who orders the fish, and basically Matt is trying to get in hard to find nano fish that you don't see other places and have them available online. And if I mention those fish, if I say, hey Matt, can you get me 50 rummy nose, orange rummy nose rasboras, that's kind of a new fish in the hobby, or pandagars or whatever, he'll order in the lowest amount he can or a decent amount, however he feels. But they've been very receptive, which I have to say thank you to them, about looking for those fish for me. If I say, hey, this is a funky fish and I think we should give it a shot, they'll bring it in. And if I show it on the show, and people buy it, then it works out in that we all get to have these funky, weird, maybe not so common, some oddball fish and stuff in the hobby. And we need to keep innovating and keep bringing things in. We need to reach out to Germany and the Czechs and Singapore, Taiwan, people who are pushing hobby forward, and don't just stall, Like, the age of plastic plants is officially over in 2018. It's been coming, but it's over now. Like, there's about 100 plants you can get, and I think this may be the biggest, most influential change of 2018, and I think that's tissue cultured plants being widely available online. I really do. Not that they're the best thing always, but now anyone in the country can order them. And so where it used to be you'd go to Petco or PetSmart or your local fish store, depending on what you have wherever you are. And now you can go to boostplants.com or h2oplants.com or Buy Pet Shrimp. Eric, who runs that site, is a nice guy. And you can buy plants and shrimp that were hard to find. Now, you may be paying a little bit more, and conversely, you may be paying a little less for like red shrimp and stuff that aren't as highly refined. So you have to decide where you want to spend your coin. If you live out in rural South Dakota or Wyoming, why wouldn't you buy online? You probably don't have anybody in town who happens to breed this one specialty fish you want. So I mean, things like getgills.com, Aquabid, and the online sites, that's been in the works for years, but that's another thing really defining this year in fish keeping. So the other thing I would like to say that I notice is I think matte filters have become kind of big this year. Kind of said that already, but people using them as dividers. Also, wild bettas are a big thing that I've noticed, and goldfish, like pearl scale goldfish and ranchu and lion's head. People are really pushing fish to the limit. Things like flower horns and parrot cichlids, things like that. People are really mixing those up, and whether you love it or hate it, it's happening. So, yeah. Also, I think we're going to see more tailored treatments Like, as I'm seeing in the comments right now, people are saying, is there any new treatment for planaria or hydra? I mean, people have been using just like a needle syringe, like a very fine, like a injection needle syringe, not like a turkey baster or a plastic like kids cough syrup syringe. You want a very specific needle. But you put hydrogen peroxide, cut it with a little bit of water maybe. There's a lot of info online. Do it at your own risk. I may make a video on that and show some before and afters, but you can pinpoint those. The other thing that someone I will not name, and I don't want you to tell you guys to go out and do this for sure, but I'm just putting it out there, is I recently was informed that you can get a green, you know, the hot laser pointers that can burn things, that can etch things, and you can point that through the glass in your tank and kill scuds, planaria, whatever you want with just like a bzz, 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 manually. So I haven't done it personally, can't condone it, could be dangerous, might blind yourself, I don't know, but I want to try it. So yeah, so I think that would be helpful, but until then, I mean, the real thing is shortcuts. You know, shortcuts by buying animal size. You can kill. Yeah, exactly, Jeff. You can definitely kill. You can definitely kill your. Everybody's commenting on that one. The laser. Yeah, in salt water, people have been killing coral in salt water with lasers for a while. But one slip and you could burn / scar and blind your fish. But, yeah. Thanks, Bob, for throwing it up on Instagram. Bob, I want to thank Bob so much for being a great moderator. Betsy, too, when she's around. And thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And everybody watching, I know I already said it, but you guys rock. You guys make this a community. I like to see that people come back in and they're talking to each other and they're on the Facebook, and I don't even need to have anything to do with it. Not just to be lazy. I mean, that's cool too. But I like that you guys are trading plants and things like that. Like, make this a comfy place to trade. I don't want to have to put up a bunch of crazy rules and say you can't swear, you can't do this or whatever. I try not to. I want to keep this open to everyone, but in chat, in chat on the Facebook and stuff, just be yourself and like be nice and be kind to each other. If anyone gets really trolly or hateful, we'll get rid of them. But other than that, like, just it's here for everybody. Let's see here. All about painting. First live chat. Nice. New England Endler, one slip and you blind your fish with those lasers. It's true. But maybe those fish have cataracts, and maybe that slip would just, you know, like fix the fish. You don't know. So the other thing I think we're going to see a lot more of, bioengineering in tanks. Now, you see this currently with the ADA, like activated clay or powder, I don't know, but there are probiotics and things like that that really do help break down certain elements, and also there's fungi, which this will be in the farther future, and I hope to contribute to it because mushrooms, fungi, they're a real big interest of mine in outside of this. But I think that we'll find that there are a lot of fungi that we could inoculate substrate with that actually trap heavy metals, like copper, or, I mean, not that that's a heavy metal, but lead, copper, things that harm shrimp and fish, and the fungus are inert themselves. As far as the fish or shrimp are concerned. Now, there's also Alobiopsidae in the shrimp realm. It wouldn't surprise me if the way to fix that is finding a fungus or bacteria that targets Alobiopsidae in the wild. You just never know. So, yeah. The other things, what else have I noticed this year? I wrote down a couple of them. Oh, one bad trend, speaking of treating stuff like Hydra and stuff, and how we have to go get goat dewormer and hippo dewormer, and then you have to break it down into 1/1000th of what a hippo would take so you can give it to your handler. Okay, I'm exaggerating a bit. But I think that I really don't like that. Yes, I get humans have been taking antibiotics from the pet store themselves because it's cheaper than our medical system. For my friends and viewers outside of the country, think on that for a minute. It always blows their mind when I tell them that. But I mean, go watch Breaking Bad. A guy has to like amass $1 million, more than that, to keep a family going and starts selling. Okay, long tangent about the U.S. healthcare system. I don't know how we're going to fix it. We got to fix it, though. Got to care about each other. Too many people are falling through the cracks. I've seen it this year, how quickly you can get a $50,000 bill or whatever because of lightning or a car hitting you or whatever it may be. That shouldn't ruin people. And because of the support of people watching, my family, my wife, a lot of different things in life, this year has been a crazy year. I had a blood clot. I got my lupus diagnosed officially. Medicines for that, and then I got hit by lightning. So you guys have seen a lot this year and been through a lot, and I feel like this has been my video journal that couldn't have happened on a better year, really. Also being married and getting into that life, hoping to have kids. It's not just a fish story on this channel sometimes. It's kind of secretly or beside the point. There's elements of my life. So thank you for sharing in my life. I really do feel like when I watch channels like that, I feel like I know them. And even if we just type back and forth a little bit, like, that's great. If you feel that way at all, great. Reach out to me. It's fine, you know. I like chatting with you guys. So if you have questions, need help with something, that's what the Facebook group is for and those sort of things. So, let's see here. Oh yeah, what I was going to say though, treating fish. The thing that I don't like is Petco stopped carrying like not dog dewormers. They stopped carrying fish medicine because they said humans were taking it. Well, humans do lots of dumb things. They huff paint, they huff air duster, like they choke themselves for fun. Like, that's a thing. Don't do it. But I mean, humans are gonna do weird things. Can't we just agree that, like, let's just treat our fish like and ignore those stupid people? But I guess you have to set rules by the dumbest person in the room. And it's not even dumb sometimes. Some people are doing it really well informed and they don't need to be supervised, and it is cheaper than their medical system, and they know it's a gram negative or gram positive. I think that's the minority of people, but that being said, in a pinch or an apocalypse, it might work and might save your life. So, but because of that, Petco is pulling out. You can't go there and find dewormer. You can't get antibiotics. You find like clove oil. And some of that stuff, yeah, it's helpful, you know. Clove oil, you can put your fish under anesthesia a little bit. And things like that. I mean, there's known extracts and things that do help with that. Like, for instance, catappa leaves, they heal, and maple leaves. Tannins in general create an acidic environment that bacteria does not like. It can also hurt your plants because they pair mycorrhizally in their roots and in their rhizomes with fungus and bacteria that do like that. But in a high tannin tank or a salt dip tank, you can cure a lot of problems. So some of those things, yeah. Do you treat new fish like Corey does when they come into your fish room? Let me be real honest. I have some tanks with expensive fish and rare fish, and those get the triple triage combo that he uses. I like that combo too. It seems fine. Erythromycin sometimes I don't trust, just because there's a lot of gram-negative bacteria going around because everyone's treating with erythromycin now, and furan 2 or something like that might need to be treated. So if it's a big fish or a wild caught fish, I'll definitely deworm it with levamisol, something like hard hitting, especially if it's not a nano fish, like if it's a pleco or something. But for the most part, I would rather trust the person I'm getting it from, pay more, and not have to worry as much, and then do a light treatment. Or even just a quarantine where I just watch them in a tank, and if they look fine, then I'm going to assume they're fine, which isn't true. But that has gotten me through, with the exception of two really bad die-offs this year. So my fish room, out of all the fish, thousands of fish that have come and gone this year in the fish room, buying, selling, trading, I've lost 8 plecos, which really sucked. And I've lost my Tatia mosaica catfish, which also really sucked, and were in the pleco tank. That being said, I also lost a guppy colony in one of them, and I lost my pea puffers. Oh, also lost a crib at two cribs at the beginning of the year. That was completely just because I didn't know what I was doing, treating the wrong thing. I needed a gram-negative bacteria treatment. Guppies had long stringy poo, so they probably have a parasite. They died. I brought another 3, same thing. They keep dying. Well, let's see here. Tetra Keeper, have a great night. Happy New Year. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for joining us. Kit's Jail. So if you see that your endlers have clear poop, or it's like blood, or it looks like organs, that's an issue. If it's the color of their food, that's fine. It can be long and stringy. Usually it is. It's usually a long string because they coil it. Same with like plecos and things. Like they have a coil. But if you keep getting them and they keep dying and your water parameters are good, yeah, I'd deworm them, deparasite them. Maybe even just a general cure, Paragard, like for dogs or something. And there's recipes online. You can message me more about that. And talk to other people. They can help you with that too. If it's a white thing and it's not ick, it could also be like a velvet type thing, or a bacterial infection, a fungus infection, or it could be a eukaryotic, like what are they called, protista issue, like a little thing that's living under the gills and irritating them and disrupting the slime coat. So there's a number of things you can do. Salt dips are always one good thing, but I would say stop buying guppies from whoever. If there's a bunch of dead, if you get guppies from someone and every time they die a couple days later, don't get those guppies anymore. Or totally just nuke your tank with dewormer and meds, pull your charcoal filter out, do a bunch of water changes, and restart your cycle, maybe. I don't know if it's that drastic, but I'd have to know more info. All right, let's finish up the... I can help you more later, hopefully, but let's finish up some of the trends that I saw this year and I see coming. The other big thing is LED lights. So whether it's gimmicky and it's like glow lights and like little rocks glow in the dark and turn colors and light up, or when the water gets to a certain temperature, they turn colors. There's lots of gimmicky stuff like that that's going to be coming out and is out already. Glowfish, glow substrate. What I'd love to see is a substrate that, like, when the nitrogen in the tank hits a certain point, it starts like discoloring, or more visual cues like that. They're subtle, but I think those could be done very easily and it'd be cool. So I think that's something in the future. Also, I think that paludariums and I guess basically like just tanks that are unique, like tiered tanks. Those have been popular this year. Do Aqua and ADA have both been making those. I think we're going to see more like bow front shaped tanks and interesting shapes of tanks. Just tanks galore. But in the new style where they don't have all the bracing and stuff showing. The new mode is to hide the stuff inside. Even if it takes away space from the fish, you have a cube that is all self-contained. That is what people are going to be doing. I just say it better be modular. Like, I better be able to pull out one brand's stuff and put in another one, or I'm going to be angry. And that's why I was saying it's like the Mac and PC divide. We're going really towards a Mac look, where it's streamlined, it's sleek, it's sexy, it's, you know, Danish and Norwegian design and Japanese sleek design. But it costs an arm and a leg to fix, or you can't even get to the heater because it's built into the floor, or whatever. So they need to be mindful of that, or they'll lose people, and people will go back to DIY. So, you know, the Danes are sexy. Yeah. I'm part Danish. Just thought I'd throw that out there, in case anybody's wondering. Mostly Scottish, though. So, paludariums, as I was saying, you could check out channels like, yeah, I have a Mac. I like Macs. I don't want, like, I used to be into writing code and JavaScript and blah, 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 all the stuff that you used to, HTML2 and HTML1, DOS, whoa. But I got tired of that. Now I just want to take a picture and I want it to be on my screen and blah, blah, blah. So it depends on what you want from it. For me, a Mac works. It's overpriced, but I don't get viruses. I'm happy with it. I like the interface. It's sleek, it's portable, whatever. You know, nice chubby guppy. And Mad Fish Diva, yeah, it works for me, like editing photos and things, because I'm into like taking pictures of lightning, which is ironic, I know, if you guys didn't know that already, and getting my art, my prints and my art ready for gallery exhibitions or museums, all done online now, or on computers. Almost all graphic design, everyone expects you to know Mac. So I have a MacBook Pro that's souped up to the max, and it's like a 2000 to the max. It's like a 2015, end of 2015 model that has the stats of the mid-level model now, and I got it refurbished for like $1,500 off of what it would have been new. So with tech, same within the fish industry, if you can get that tech open box, or if you can get it waiting 6 months or something, it's worth it a lot of times, you know. You yeah, it's worth it to wait a little while. Just look for your core elements. What is it you want to do? If you want to go buy filters and buy 10 filters that are $10 a piece, and every month just plop a filter in and that works for you, and you have not that many fish in there, that's fine. If you want to be like me and scrounge tanks where you can for $5 at an auction at your local fish club or something, and be breeding things and doing hang off the backs with sponges and putting intake filters, that's another one this year that's gotten big. I credit Corey with that from Aquarium Co-op for sure, amongst others. And you know, surface area is the motto now, you know. More so like surface area and flow and water movement. That's what needs to be going on in your tank. But think about what elements you need. I mean, I use floodlights for a house that I got on eBay from China and waited a month for. But they were $15 a piece, and they're 60-watt lights, and they grow. They can flower stuff underwater, and they're cheap. They might catch on fire. I don't know. But decide where you want to save money, what your end goal is, and all that jazz. You know, I think the other thing that's sad that's going on now is that we need to be, let me take off my hat, let me get serious with you folks, is we need to be deciding what we want to do about conservation with these species. And I think that as hobbyists, we should try to keep some in the hobby and maybe have like 1 or 2 vendors that are allowed to import them. That's, if I had my druthers, that would be how it would work. And then they would be required to pass them on to other people, and then they could keep them, like whether it's arowana or whatever, and then just, they're not wild caught. They're all coming from somewhere we know. Panda loaches, things like that, that have like one ecosystem they live in that's very small and very prone to destruction. We should be keeping these amazing creatures, in my opinion, and beautiful creatures, so that if something happens, there is diversity of genes and things like that. That being said, I totally understand why Brazil might say, and they have, no more exporting certain plecos, catfish, tropical fish, period, in a lot of forms. We're done with it, it's not sustainable, or we're just going to do it somewhere else. There's other trade reasons. The natives there, the main thing I don't like seeing is that there's dams and stuff being built and just destroying habitat, like on the Xingu River. And at least this year there was one win. They said they're not going to be building more dams. They're going to be trying to do tidal energy down in Brazil. But yeah, it's just, I think there's already 2,000 species of shrimp in Southeast Asia that have not been identified, and they know they're there. They have maybe pictures of them, but they have not been formally identified. And I think we owe it to the world to try to get some of these shrimp, as long as it's not crushing that population, and try to breed them in the hobby and pass them on and keep those genetics. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, ballas are extinct pretty much in the wild. Balla sharks, as they're called. Rainbow sharks too. The other thing is, whatever your political beliefs are, whatever. I lost like 200 followers over this. When I said that China was going to dams, New England. Dams do not mean more space for fish to swim. In the Amazon, the river can change 40 feet or more, 80 feet in height. And certain fish only reproduce in like 6 inches of water. And then when it rains, they wash the fish away. And so there's actually a lot of fish going extinct right now because of dams that were built in the last 5 years. There's lots of fisheries that they're like, uh-oh. They're not breeding, even though they have this ginormous lake. So it can be an issue. Some species may flourish with that, the bigger tank busters and stuff, but a lot, plecos and things where they want like a shallow place, they need to hide in the ledge there, and then pop out and eat food. And a lot of fish, remember, Amazon looks like chocolate milk, and when you get down 5-10 feet, you can't see down there. And then the jungle overhanging creeks and things, the tributaries, you're getting somewhere between 2 and 5% of light coming through most rainforest in the Amazon. And then that has to hit the water and then get through. It's dark. And so the repercussions of chopping all that down, and making big lakes without cover, where before there's literally fish swimming in the trees, and the tannins of the trees and the forest floor gets washed away. Phosphates come in from the Sahara in sandstorms, and rain can't happen without nucleation. So nucleation occurs in the clouds. Pieces of sand from the Sahara that are phosphoric, I should say, phosphates, then form, they attract water, they fall, updrafts from the heat of the jungle pushes them back up, they condense and they turn into ice because they're a big raindrop, and then those cause friction, and boom, you have lightning. That's how lightning's made. So the dust storms in the Sahara come across, and because of the Coriolis effect, they spin and they form hurricanes, and you get this giant circle of life. And we don't realize when we put in dams or when we do something how it can affect that. Now that phosphorus that used to run out to the sea, go into the salt water, and it had a whole, you know, life cycle. What happens when it all gets backed up in the dams and the phosphorus level jumps? Or when the nitrates, because nitrates are only created in certain organic cells, but where they're mostly created is either in stars or during lightning is where nitrites are made, and then and ammonias and stuff like that. And then nitrates are made by the bacteria. So it's all connected, and I think we're going to be seeing, I mean, we can't survive as a race, personally, if we don't think about these things. Now, we also can't play God all the time and tinker with things, because there's too many variables that we just don't know. And so when we have so many variables like this in the world, that's why we need to rely on nature. It's gotten us this far. So let's watch it work and see how we can use it in the micro scale and in our own homes, in our own fish tanks. Let's figure it out in the fish tank before we go unload it on the rest of the world. So I'm glad you guys are digging this talk. I love talking about this stuff. And I know it's like the nerdy fish, like hippie, fish hippie archaeologist, biologist talking here. But it's fascinating to me, and it comes down to our existence as a people, our cultures, and it can stem from a talk about fish and rules of import of fish, you know, or nitrates. So, you know, I don't want to go too far off tangent there, but the also Go Wild Peru are closed now. So where you saw Dean Tweedle, master fish keeper, as Aquarium Co-op calls him, and I don't dispute that. I'm not trying to air quote and be condescending in any way. He's a very great fish keeper and valued member of our club for sure. But where you saw him and JH Aquatics, them go, that's now, I guess, closed. So this ecotourism thing, I think that will be a trend that will still come back, but places like Burma, Congo, these places are getting, like, it's hard to get there. You can get shot for going there. The Shan region, which is where we get celestial pearl danios, pandagaras, so many rasboras and danios, like all of them, and gouramis and things. We found over 1,000 fish in 2006 when we were allowed in Myanmar, and we haven't even scratched the surface of some of these mountainous valleys. You know, same with like panda loaches and shrimp and things like that. Indonesia, Malaysia, Borneo, Papua New Guinea. These are places that are hard to get to. People like Chris Lukow are doing awesome work, and we need more people doing that. I wish we had more funding from even like governments, you know, because yeah, it's a hobby, but it's also figuring out what it is to be on this planet, and maybe the cure for cancer or a venom that stops, you know, nerve cells from demyelinating in the brain for Alzheimer's exists somewhere. That's where we find things. That's where we find inspiration, because it's billions of years that nature has figured this out. So I think I think that we'll look at nature and try to play with it, and then put it in a sleek, modernized package. I think that's the overall trend we'll see. And I just hope that people keep demanding diversity of fish. Keep fish that aren't just pretty, you know. Keep fish that are interesting in their behavior, you know. Pea puffers, yeah, they're pretty adorable too. But pistos and plecos and things that just act funky, you know. It's beautiful, and it's what excites me about the hobby and what I look forward to. So, yeah, I think other than that, I think paludariums, plants outside of the fish tank, stuff like that, and fish tanks that are set up so that there's a water aquarium at the beginning, and then there's a tier for plants and things. I think that's going to be another setup that you see. Bet Flue Vault will jump on that and make it kind of, yeah, a thing. Yeah, totally, Bob. Fahakas rule. So hill streams, Mad Fish Diva, that's what I'm all about. I think hopefully we'll see more river tanks also. I'd love to see more river tanks, like rounded, all about painting. Good night. Diagnose. Great news. Cool. But yeah, I think you know, Blackwater, hill stream species like the hill stream trout and loaches and pandagaras and danios. I think a lot of that stuff is going to come from the home DIY side, and then will be replicated, because as much as Blackwater is probably not appealing to most people and won't be, I think the river tanks could be, where you got a nice flow and you could see rainbow fish, which are also getting more popular this year. Every year they get more popular, and we find more of them. Papua New Guinea is an insanely hard place to explore. Props to Gary Lang and Heiko Blair and all those people that go there. Lots of money, lots of time, and lots of commitment. So, awesome. Oh, diagnosis on the lupus. Yeah. Lupus is a rough one. It's inflammation inside and out. You know, I get it on the skin, and then I get it in the joints. So, such is life. Fish keep me calm and happy. You know, I think that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Also, you know, we've got... oh, Go Wild Peru is still doing trips? Okay. Like, I was just told a month ago they weren't, but maybe... I heard that they split or something. So maybe it's they're not doing some of the trips. I'm not sure. Hey, Bob, thank you so much. Bob, you are too kind. I know everybody just had Christmas and spent a whole bunch of money, and Bob's throwing in money. And I need to send Bob his Christmas present. I've been slacking. There's no good excuse why I haven't sent it out. So thank you, Bob, for the super chat. I appreciate it. I love that we are getting to meet one another, like watching my followers' video. And, you know, when people give super chats like that, when people do Patreon, which there's a link to below, I try to reinvest it really into the community again. And, like, this is a project I care about. I want people to think about the bigger picture, to bring nature into their house, to think about what the things they are doing, not just the fish. I'm picking fish because it's an easy way to start at a fishbowl and trace back to the wild or economics and whatnot. But don't buy fish from conflict zones unless you know that they're from conflict free. Buy fish from indigenous groups that are managing things well. Piaba, Ibama, I-B-A-M-A, P-I-A-B-A, down in South America. Sustainable harvesting of fish is great. And then we don't have to worry about the friggin' arowana being illegal or whatever here. You know, and poachers and things like that. So I'm all for empowering indigenous people around the world. They should know what resources they have. They should be paid fairly and not just a penny a fish or whatever. And we should spend the extra money and write and talk to each other and build communities in this hobby, but in life in general, to make that a reality. And that's bigger than fish keeping. That's about the world. It's about the world working in a different way than it does right now. So in any case, I won't preach too much more. I did want to say, when I started talking earlier about, oh, blah, 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 200 people left my channel when I said Trump was going to cause some issues with China and trade. Well, there's a 10% tariff, and basically it's come up to 20. Go look at Aquarium Co-op. Go talk to whoever. I didn't make that up. I wasn't bashing Trump. He bashes himself. Sorry, if you like Trump, I'm not getting into politics, I promise. But what I was going to say is, tariffs are a real thing. I wasn't just trying to be a jerk to Republicans or to Trump or to Democrats or whoever. I don't like either of them, honestly. But, you know, things like that affect the hobby. Stuff went up a bunch. You know, Corey has to charge more money now, and, you know, he's being transparent about that. That's why he has to charge more money. And then, you know, if it goes up to 25%, they have to go up even more. And then if there's a trade war and they say, oh, no, you can't have any fish, then there goes panda loaches, you know, or whatever. So these do have real-world implications just on the hobby, but even bigger ones in our general economy. So that's why I bring these up, not to discourage or to say anything against anyone's beliefs. It's not what this channel is about. I hope this channel in 2019 encourages people. We form communities. We learn. I learn. Mistakes happen, and we learn from those. That's how we live and move forward in the universe. So, all right, guys. We are gonna end this live stream tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful New Year's. Spend it with your friends and family, keeping your fish happy and healthy. Thank you so much for the super chat, Bob, and also for you guys just coming out and being a part of this. There'll be the second part of Chase's fish room, the Fahaka puffers and all the rare, you know, leopard frog breeding colony and stuff like that, and more beta macrostoma video. So have a good night, you guys. Take care. Be safe on New Year's. Get a designated driver, or be really boring and hang out at home. And I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.